it devalued the property. That was the law. So every major city got this low income, low property value area of black, Latino, Latinos,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, black people aren't in the inner city because we hate black people, but race was the law when it was built. And
Great.
because it's still there, it's still having the same outcome.
Mm-hmm.
SouLivate.
Mm.
Take a black person in the inner city. A black person in the inner city because when they built suburbs, they weren't allowed to live anywhere. And because of redlining, because you live somewhere else, because you live there together, it devalued the property. That was the law. So every major city got this low income, low property value area of black, Latinos,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, black people aren't in the inner city because we hate black people, but race was the law when it was built. And
Great.
because it's
SouLivate.
still there, it's still having the same outcomes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So a lot of the problems we're having, yeah, there's still some races. And where there's races, there's problems. But the thing that keeps things going are the structures that were built when race was the law that haven't been torn down.
Yes, sir.
Uh, the inner city doesn't need races for it to still have you going to a school that's underfunded, that doesn't give you a quality education, that the system now allows white folks to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Give them $7,000 school vouchers to help them pay for private school. They'll take public funding away from public schooling to pay a student to go to a private school. Well, it has a racial outcome.
Yes.
I did when Steve Miller got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
2 days before that, I went and spoke at a school in Newark, New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
and I brought a battery-operated keyboard because this, can't remember if it was middle school or high school, had no auditorium, so they had no piano. Had no auditorium, so they had no PA system. So I brought a battery-operated keyboard.
Wow.
They didn't have a microphone, right? So I asked for an extension cord so that I could plug it in. I didn't want my batteries to run out. They looked all over the school for an extension cord, just one extension cord. There's so few resources in this school, they never found an extension cord. This school with no auditorium and no piano and no PA system. So this school with no resources, how are they supposed to churn out a quality diploma? Right?
Listen, as a kid from a third world, that's one thing I could never understand. How can there be a school like that in the wealthiest country in the world, man? That's
Well,
what blows my mind, man.
yes, but we got the answer is in who it is that's wealthy. Right? In a country, when we say that the wealthiest country in the world, we sort of see this thing where there's wealth all over the place. But in this country, the top 10th of 1% has more wealth than the bottom 92, 93% of us. Do you see what I mean? So the way that it happens in a country like ours is to make sure that the wealth is not spread around.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
People are helping us to stay divided. If we're divided, we can't push back against it. If we're divided, we won't cooperate ourselves out of it. Do you see what I mean?
Man, Mr. Wooten, you're giving us such gems today. You know, if one day, because I have on this channel, there's two podcasts. One is a podcast and a movement called "Prove to Me That You're Alive," and that was, you know, the one where we always get into philosophy and things like that. We've had some incredible guests on that. So, and this is SouLivate. This is more based on music. But if one day you would agree to come on to Prove to Me That You're Alive, and we can get into all of this deep stuff, that would
Man, boy, that's got my name on it. And another day,
we can go on forever, man.
yeah, we can. On another day, we'll just sit and talk some boxing because I love
Yes, sir.
boxing.
Yes, sir. We could do all of that. So man, you dropping these gems. So going back to your story, because I could keep you here forever, but I don't want to
It's
do
okay.
that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Your wife is probably,
Yeah.
once your time too. The when you the Steve Miller band, how did that come about? How did
Okay.
I don't want to go from something so important to
No,
this,
it's okay.
but
No, this it's
I
all
think
related.
yeah, I
It's
think your life journey is, a big piece of this, man.
Yeah, it's all related. I moved to Nashville in 1990, and my then girlfriend, we moved to Nashville. I had come to Nashville to sing on a song called Mother Dixie, and it was the title song to a to a soundtrack of a movie that was being made back then. I don't think the movie ever came out. But I loved Nashville when I got here. And my girlfriend was going to pick me up at the bus station back in Virginia. And she's sitting in the car going, wow, he's saying he likes Nashville. If we're supposed to move there, I need a sign,
Mm.
because I don't know. And when I get off of the bus, as I'm walking towards the car, a U-Haul truck pulled in right beside the car with Nashville, Tennessee on the side. So
Shit.
I moved. So we everything fell into place. We moved to Nashville, and we moved to Nashville September 18th, 1990. We went back to Virginia, got married
SouLivate.
on November 11th because we knew we were going to start a family. So we got married. 11 months later, my son was born, my oldest son, Jesse.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And the plan was for me to gig and work, and she would stay home with the baby. Well, I had gigs, but they weren't nearly paying enough. And I had a recording session. Well, we were not quite in town 3 years. I had a recording session with a guy named Chris McCarty.
Mm.
And Chris McCarty liked my work. And he said, Steve Miller, he goes out, he's looking for a keyboard player, you'd be perfect. And I had heard so much people talking about things all the time. I sort of blew him off. I had 2 sessions with him. So the
Mm.
next day he comes to pick me up because my car was down. He comes to pick me up. He said, "Look, man, you should have sent that audition tape yesterday." I said, "Here's his mailing address. Uh, Send an audition tape to Steve Miller." So by then, I had I had I did a funky loop of Abracadabra.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I had I had been surviving doing sound alike work, where you go in and you sound like the artist. I would get all of the hip hop
Oh wow.
and the R&B, and I had a sound alike that I had just done of the acapella version of Boys to Men. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Ooh.
So I knew that the Steve gig was going to require me playing some keyboards and singing harmony. So I sent me singing, doing the acapella Boys to Men, funky loop of Abracadabra. I took a piano solo, organ solo, and a synthesizer solo.
Mm.
And then I sent in the audio of me singing along with Whitney on a song called Thinking About You,
Wow.
and sent it in. And maybe a week later, I forget how long it was, but he calls back and tells me that he likes my recording. And he said, the Steve Miller gig is the kind of gig you could have for the next 10 years if you wanted it. And that was 31 years ago. It'll be 32 years ago in March.
Wow.
And that's how I got the gig. The important thing for people to know, though, is that even when I got the gig, it wasn't over that he liked my music or my singing. I still had to go meet him. And that's what sealed the deal. I met him, we hit it off, and then I got the gig. A young musician should know that it's as important. It's as important to be somebody that's easy to hang around as it is to be somebody who can play. Because
Mm.
there's always more qualified people to play than there are slots for those people. So
Wow.
you have to make sure that if you can play, you're on time, you look the part, you're easy to be around, you're respectful. I call it being talented at all of the things that don't require talent. Doesn't require talent to be on time or to be respectful or to know your parts or to be prepared. All that stuff doesn't require talent. But if you're not good at those, it'll get in the way of what you're good at.
Mm, wow. And I just gotta say, man, you guys really made some history with that band. What was your most memorable moment throughout all these years? You guys recorded a bunch of albums. I know you have two solo albums. I want to get into
Mm-hmm.
that, but what was the most memorable time for you being a part of this
Of the
band?
Steve Miller Band?
Yeah, and did the band coincide with the mission that you have been on throughout your life, man?
Well, you're never off the mission, right?
Mm,
So it's everything. Every that term, everything is everything. Everything merges together to help tell the story of your
yes, sir.
life. Um, every time we play Red Rocks, you know that that's something special. There's been different moments you meet different people. Um, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was really special. People really tribute him the right way and to be on the stage with all these other monumental all these other monumental artists. That was real cool. Um, it's fun. Steve's been a while. Steve's been around for a while. He just turned 81 in
Wow.
September. So you try to learn from his experience because he was there for some decades that I wasn't there, and you try to make the most of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's incredible, and I just want to say congratulations because you guys definitely made some history. You as a solo artist, you as part of the Wooten Brothers, and you part of the Steve Miller Band, you definitely made some history. One song of yours that brought me to tears, man, is "Let Me Be a Fool."
Oh, okay. You saw. Yeah. Okay.
First of all, your singing on it is angelic, man. I gotta say that. It's something out of this world. My wife, my beautiful wife, my beautiful mom, we were standing around listening to that song, and we all almost had tears in our eyes. When did you write that song? What was the feeling behind writing that song,
All right.
and what is the message?
Back in those.
This is SouLivate.